Hi and what's up? Welcome to the second part of this tutorial, which is about design. Last time we talked about wireframes. If you haven't checked out the first part of the tutorial, I recommend to do this first. Alright, so last time we created a wireframe of a landing page. Actually, we just designed the landing screen and I explained there some rules you should follow. This time we want to get started with the design of that landing screen or even the whole landing page. Let's see how far we can get. So let's jump in. Alright, so as you can see, last time we created this wireframe here. As said, watch the first part if you don't know anything about this here. So you don't lose track in this tutorial now. First of all, what I'm going to do is to just copy the frame here, and I call this just simply design screen. And then I just delete all of the elements. At the top, the navigation, we wanted to have the navigation, which is around 100 pixels height. We wanted to have some links here. And then maybe some logo and the text here. So as an example, as said last time, I wanted to go with a freelancer designer to create this landing page here. And first of all, what I'm probably going to do is to search for a color scheme. I'm not sure, maybe you know a better website, but I always go with the colors.co, which provides you with random colors which fit very well together. You also can adjust this color palette to your, personal taste. You also can test your colors on color blindnesses to see if the contrast is still high enough for the accessibility. And you also can add or remove colors here. By hitting space, you just generate new color schemes. Yeah, I think this one is pretty good to start with. So I could imagine that this one is basically our, maybe navigation color or footer color. This one could be the CTA color, or maybe this one. And this could be just like, depending on which we choose, the other one could be with the yellow, could be for some illustrations or background illustrations here. This gray one, I think it could be actually the background color, because I personally don't really like if the background is always just white. So I like it if it's also I like it actually if the background color is not totally white, but like a slightly gray. So let's just test this, how this looks in here. And I'm not sure if this applied to anything here, but apparently it did. So this is really a really light gray, which is fine. On the top, let's try if we can create the navigation here, and I think this looks actually pretty good. And now just place some text here. I just do it for my own now, even though I don't need it, but just that you get an idea for the example. I would choose the white color here for now. Then we want to have a big text, and also let's choose a better font. I personally like, how's it called, Nunito, pretty well. Yeah, which is well to read. And still, it's not like the color the font you see all around the web. Actually wanted to have a logo here. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Maybe we just go with the font. Let's see how we proceed with that. Then we want to, because this is a freelancer's page, you also have to think about what should be the flow of your user. So what should he see first, then second, and maybe third in your site? Since this will be a one-pager, I think it makes sense to also have the correct order in the page itself. So think about what your user wants to see from you. So if someone wants to hire you, he probably doesn't want to know when you were born or what your real name is. He wants to know what you have already done in the past. So I would go with the portfolio here first as the first section. Then we copy it. We have the about section, and then we also have the contact me. I would also recommend to not put them too close together, but rather have, like, I don't know, some space in between, so that if someone clicks it, he can reach the links. Then also what we forgot to do is, because we're not only creating here a landing screen, but we also want to put other sections in here. I extend this to maybe 5,000 pixels for now. Yeah, I guess that's enough. Yeah, then if we go back to our wireframe, we wanted to have here a big heading, a subheading, and then some sort of a CTA, and some illustration which supports this positive effect here. I'm not sure if we really need an illustration below the CTA or if it's enough if we have an illustration on this side. Before I start typing any text, I warn you that I'm not good in finding the correct or best words or CTAs. But what I do know is that you should aim for, like, what I often see is that people are writing like, I'm a web designer, which is great. But to be honest, the people who are searching for you or looking for someone to solve a problem, they probably know that you are in this genre here. So what you want to sell here is basically your experience or anything, the big value you can bring to the customer. So I would go with something like I built, actually this should be 64 actually, I guess. We want to have this bold because that's the main text or the first text your user will look at. So yeah, I built great experiences around the web. And then we want to have the subtitle, which then could be actually, so here we could mention it, that the customer is aware of that. We don't have to make it that prominent. I would also choose, yeah, maybe not the gray from what we have in our color palette, but maybe something like this. Whoop, there we go. And then it shouldn't maybe be bold, just a regular text like this. And then at the bottom, we wanted to have the CTA. And here it's also good that you, like, I often see then if the people are like, I'm a web developer and UX and UI designer, they put a CTA here like contact me. And to be honest, why should I contact you at this position? Because I haven't seen anything you have done now. I don't know who you are. Like, I know you are a web developer and UX designer, but that's what I'm looking for. So why should I contact you here? The why is basically missing here. So what you want people to click on is basically check out my work, or what they should decide if they want to hire you. All right, then this text, if we zoom into 100%, the button is too large. Yeah, we could do it like that. Then I would group those two. Actually, we could also create a component out of this and call it button. Because we probably need it for the contact me as well. And we give it a little bit of white space and also make sure to have enough white space for the top. So now we actually have like we have the first setting here, but this space looks really empty. So we wanted to go for illustration, and as said in the beginning, we don't need to have an illustration down here. It's too distracting. I would rather have like an illustration on this side and maybe some UI elements in the background, like faded out. So to support this illustration and to yeah, make this white space a little bit more attractive. So let's start. So since we are creating this, and this is actually a web developer and UX and UI designer, I think it would make sense to have something, I'm not sure, something which indicates that you are working in the web. So we could have like some smartphone or yeah, UI scribble here, like a wireframe. Yeah, I guess I imagine something like this, that you have 2 layers. All right, something like that. I think this looks pretty good. To be honest, I think there's too many colors now, so I'm not sure if I want to get rid of this color here, because this intransparent thing created this green here. So maybe we go with that in the navigation as well, so that they are matching. All right, I think we use this color to lighten up the background a little bit. So what I can recommend is to use some plugins. I downloaded this Iconify plugin for Figma, which offers you a huge set of icons like material design, which is from Google. You get the Font Awesome free icons and a lot more. I would go with the material design icons because I'm familiar with them. And let's search some positive icons here. For example, a plus sign. Here you can actually input already a color code like this and give it height. I guess 60 is now, it's fine. Then you could place it somewhere here. All right, then let's assume the user is looking at this page currently, something like around this. In the ideal case, he clicks this button. In the not so ideal case, he probably doesn't know that there's content below here, and he doesn't click that button. So what we want to do now as well is to insert an indicator that he can scroll down here. So we could either take this arrow line tool, but if we already have the icons not that prominent, but also not as transparent as the pattern in the background, and also to let the user know that this is not a pattern or not related to the pattern, I would also let the arrow move up and down like this. Maybe not that strong, but like slowly. We could also like to bring a little bit more movement in here so that it's not boring. We could decide to either let the pattern in the background like really like move really slowly, or what I would probably prefer is to animate something in this illustration. So either we could, I don't know, build this content here. Those lines are generating like really fast maybe, or slow or whatever, or it's scrolling. I'm not sure, something like that. Yeah, so next section would be the portfolio. And since we have a lot of white space here, I would recommend to have some kind of a separator that the user knows, all right, next section begins here. So I would put in here a line, not that big, it doesn't have to be really big. And then we also take the green again, because yeah, if we take the red again, it's all is red. And so let's take the green, maybe another 1, but maybe a 2. Also again, use the white space here as well. And then we go with the next section. In here, we create the portfolio heading. In the top, we took this 64 heading. I would go with 48 here. Still bold it, bring it to the edge. This looks very empty now. So what I'm going to do is I would also have this introduced subtitle here. Here we could describe our section. For example, we could check out my latest project for other customers. What else? Let's go to Lorem Ipsum. We could either have a lot of text here to really give an introduction to this section if needed, but we could also have just a simple one-liner. I would go with a section now because this gives a better idea. And then to present our work, we could also go with, I guess, two different approaches. We could either have a slider which lives like here, where you can slide through the work, one single line from right to left or left to right or whatever, something like a carousel. Google Translate. Google tell me.
Carousel.
To have something like a carousel here, which either could move if you scroll down, that the presented work would move from the right to the left, like slowly as an indicator, hey, here's some more work you can look at. Or you could just move it by default very slowly, and then the user could interact with this widget or whatever and move it by its own. The other approach would be to just simply show tiles here with all your work, which I personally actually don't like that much, because this is something I guess everyone has. Also, as a web developer, you want to present your work. Presenting your work means also this landing page is already your work, right? If you would search for a web designer or a web developer, yeah, the landing page he presents to you is just, sorry, but shit. Even if the work is good, it would feel not right to hire him. So you could also use this page as something to present what you are able to do. So let's make a carousel. I already forgot it again. Important for, like, I don't have like real images to share here now, so I just use this gray box as the image. I think that's fine. So if you scroll, this area moves, or maybe it moves all the time. So what could we do? We could use the same style here so that we use the same background style, or we could align it more with this pink red color with that one. Since this is our CTA color and pattern background color, and this is more our illustration color, I would rather tend to use the illustration color. Also because it's really great to reuse for those tiles here. So let's remove those again, copy this section, and then I can show you what I mean. And now just imagine that there's an image inside here, so not a gray area. So if there's an actual image in here, I think this would look pretty good. And then we create a component out of this and then just reuse it like that. And then we need some patterns here again. I wouldn't just copy them and put them here again because this is just boring. I would do it individually for each section. I think what you should try to avoid is that your background pattern is hovering your font, because this just distracts the reader from reading the text. And then we have the next section. So please don't nail me down on like the distance between those elements here. I guess you should get the idea. Yeah, so next section is the about section. I think this is, since we have this tile, I actually think the about section is pretty fast designed because we can reuse it. And as you maybe noticed, as further we get with the design, the easier it becomes because we are generating our own design pattern. So we decided how large the font should be. We decided that we are going with this pattern and so on and so on. So at some point, it's really easy to create those pages once you have this design pattern. Of course, there are improvements, and of course, it's not 100%. So let's call this about, and to not repeating those sections from a layout perspective, because that's boring. Design screen, here we have the portfolio. We've made it actually too big, can we? This is completely off. No, it's all right. Yeah, so we should do it like this. And here we take some more lorem ipsum and place it in here so you can describe your story. To be honest, I'm not a real big fan of having something like this if it's not done great. Of course I'm interested in your yeah, I'm interested in your career. So yeah, with 20, I went to the school and learned web design, but I'm actually not interested in, I don't know, text, like where you were born, and I'm not sure, like this personal stuff, which you can find on Facebook or whatever. I'm not interested in that as a customer, don't get me wrong. If I want to read the about section, I maybe want to know, what have you done beside your projects? Have you wrote a book about design or development? Have you done some stuff beside that work? So I want to know something like that. Yeah, then we need some patterns for this again. And then the last section, and the most important section, is the contact me part. So here, this is actually the section you want people to click on, because only if people click on this section, they will contact you and give you maybe a job. You should make sure that this is well designed. And by well designed, I don't mean like putting a great image in here. I mean that people are willing to fill out your form. Let's maybe just get started. Contact me. So you could put in another text here to introduce the contact me. I don't know, you could explain, for example, yeah, if you contact me, I will get back to you within 24 hours, something like that, or some information the customer or requester should provide to you. Those forms, there is, or hopefully was, I don't see those forms around much anymore, but you probably have seen those, and these are forms which are designed like that. You saw probably forms like that at some point in your life around the web. So what's wrong with this one? If you do like forms like this, there's an issue regarding accessibility. Forms like this is normally the placeholder. So if you click in this field, the placeholder will disappear. Actually, I know which big page is doing this, and I don't know why. So this is a form, what I mean. These are placeholders. If you click in there, actually they leave them in here, but if I start typing, the placeholders are just gone, which is bad. Because if I start filling this out, depending on the information I have to fill in, I maybe have to get my wallet, I have to look into my phone or whatever, and I then probably or maybe lose the connection to the field. What should I have put in there? And this is bad, and actually, yeah, this shouldn't happen. So always use labels. Always use labels. And this is not only a reason for if you click in and you type stuff that it's gone. It's also for screen readers. Screen readers won't. They're looking for the label, and this is not perfect for them to provide a form like that. Second thing is the design of this field. Just having a line here, people think this is a separator. And from a UX perspective, it is a separator. As you can see, we used it as a separator. This is not an input field, it's a separator. And people could assume that this is also just a separator, and they want to click in here maybe, or somewhere else to fill out the form. It's just bad. So give your form always some kind of a frame or background color. Yeah, so also you can structure your forms either this way. Make sure you have enough white space between the fields so it's clear where to put which information. But actually I don't like this, because then we have like this huge white space again in this area. It would only make sense if we have another illustration, which could make sense to have, maybe something like a contact thing. But what I also prefer doing is having the form into first name, last name, your email. And then, of course, what we also need is the your message. I don't know how you feel, but if I get this your message field from time to time, it feels always like it's too small. because I want to write an email basically in here. And if it's too small, I don't really like it, because you don't have to, you can type in the text. And then we need some patterns here. All right. And this is the landing page. So let's take a look at this design here. Yeah, there we go. So we have the top navigation. We could decide to put in here a logo as well, but I think having just the name is fine as well. We have 3 links: portfolio, about, and contact me. And we also have them in the same order through the website. So this is what the user sees, at least on my resolution first. He sees the awesome experiences, nice, and he's a web developer and UI and UX designer. And I can check out his work. For my screen, it's too low, this arrow here. But when we code the site, which will happen in the next tutorial, if we code the site, I would go with a 100 height of the viewport here to position this arrow. So in the next section, we have the portfolio with some introductional text. And then we have those elements here where we can choose from. We have the about side or section, where we could put in any cool picture of us with some descriptional text. And then we have our contact me section, which is the most important section here. If you create forms, I haven't done this now, but if you create forms, always think about what information do you need as a web developer or UX and UI designer. For the initial request, I probably don't need the first and last name. I only need the email address to contact him back, and I need some kind of message the user provides, what he wants, and so on. Then maybe for the portfolio section, I can also give you the advice to what I have seen is like portfolio, that people just screenshot the work they have done, which then looks kind of bad in this portfolio section. Because if you just have a screenshot of a website or something like that, it doesn't really tell anything and also could look bad. So what I recommend to do, take the time, create a thumbnail which also maybe fits for your website. And then if the user clicks on your element, you open it up, you provide some information. What have you done in this project? What were the requirements? Yeah, provide some screenshots, whatever, some more information. I also wouldn't recommend to link to that project, because you always would have to check if those projects are still active, if the URL is still correct, if your work is still used, and so on and so on. When you finish the work, make some screenshots there, describe what you have done, what the requirements were, and present your work like that. So that's it for this part. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked the video. I hope you will subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. And I also hope that I could tell you some things which you probably didn't know. And I hope you also can tell me stuff in the comments which I probably don't know. Maybe stuff which I did wrong in my design elements now here. In the next video, we will start coding this landing page. And see you in the next one.